"Come to Weissach," said the Porsche Museum, "and drive our Le Mans winning 962. "Are you serious?" I said. "The 1987 car, Rothman's livery, a machine I thought I'd never see in the raw, let alone sit in, let alone drive at the track on which it was developed." "That's right," they said. "And you can meet the legend that is Norbert Singer, the man who designed the car, the man involved in every Porsche Le Mans victory since the 917. "I'm there," I said.
Why is the 962 so special? Why is this series of cars, 956 and 962, why were they so dominant? And why even now do I look at this car with the Rothmans livery and think it's the coolest car ever?
I think this was, in that area, it was the first car with real ground effects. Of course, other cars also had some ground effects, but not really made for doing faster lap times. And we were, let's say, lucky, or we found the right key to do quite a big step. And in comparison, when we talked about downforce, amount of downforce, we had our aim was the 91730, the Canon car, which didn't care about drag, just get downforce because they had 1,000 horsepower. There was enough power there. And we knew how much downforce we had at. And when we saw that we can even double that downforce or make it 2.5 times more downforce, then we knew that this is the right way. With a reasonable track, of course.
Yeah. And this was your discovery of the ground effect technology. Obviously, you were doing things that not even Formula One was doing because they didn't have as much body to work with, did they?
Yeah, Formula One did ground effects already 2 or 3 years earlier.
With the skirts?
With the skirts.
Yeah.
And that's where we started, because we saw that on Formula One it's working perfectly, the lap times were much faster. So we started like Formula One. We copied a kind of Formula One with a wider cockpit because there was a 2-seater car. And it turned out that it does not work at all. There was no way. And even when we put it skirts on, which regulation doesn't allow, just to learn ground effects, it does not work. It was even worse with skirts. And then we realized we need the air going from the side to the tunnels, which is for the sports car most important. And then we modified that area to help that area to improve the downforce. And this was the key to everything.
The ground effect gave this incredible performance, but if the car was known for speed, it was also known for this durability, this reliability. And it was also, there were so many stories of customers coming to buy the cars, buying the car, sign the documents, given the key, turn the key, start the car, and just go. It's really the truth?
Yeah, because, well, reliability was always a big story in Porsche, because Porsche was always thinking with every race car, or nearly every race car, thinking about Le Mans. And Le Mans means not just top speed, it means also durability. You had to run first 24 hours, and then you can see where you are. Maybe you win. And durability was a big thing. And this was, let's say, the education in Porsche. Everybody was thinking in whatever you do, does it last 24 hours?
Yeah.
And this was not just on the 956, it was all the previous types as well.
What was the most difficult component to make last 24 hours?
Yeah, it's a gearbox.
Yeah? Hence the synchromesh.
Right. Of course, we had a lot of experience in that, so it was not a problem on this car, on the 956, but on the previous cars. We had problems. Yeah, we had problems with gearboxes.
Yeah.
Because Le Mans, with the long straight, there were no chicanes in, you run a minute or even longer on full throttle and one gear, in the top gear.
Yeah.
And this very often hurts the top gear. First the engine, but when the engine was reliable, then the next is the gears.
And did it feel like a challenge every time you went to Le Mans?
Yeah, Le Mans is always a challenge, whatever. Even if you have, let's say, a reliable car, you are never 100% sure that some details may go wrong, which went 2 times or 3 times were right, but the 3rd or 4th times, they can fail.
Oh yes. So, this is the Porsche 962 which won Le Mans in 1987. It was driven by Al Holbert, H.J. Stuck and Derek Bell. I'm at Weissach, Porsche's test track in them Swabian hills. I don't really know how to describe what this is in comparative terms. Let me try for a second as we just turn this key, this red Porsche key, which looks like it comes from a series production car from that era. Because it's a car that won Le Mans that starts on a key. Sounds a bit like a motorbike at low speed. While we try and think of witty things to compare this experience to, let's go and drive it. Throttle pedal's heavy. Clutch is heavy. First is a dog leg back towards you. This is Le Mans era Le Mans gearing. Car wants to change direction, doesn't have that much aero. We'll leave it in third through here. All sort of happens above about 5 when that turbo motor comes good. There she goes. Into fifth. God knows how fast it's going. It's really potent. Brakes are from the era, let's say. Second gear to this right-hander then. Try and chase the throttle a bit. The gearing's long. This thing will do 240 miles an hour. This right-hander carries some speed. It doesn't like going over this cross much. Bumpy there. The torque is what you think of. Well, the motor's just fantastic, and the noises. 850 kilograms. 850 kilograms. About 650 horsepower. And of course it was all about going fast in a straight line, really. Get it round the corners fast in a straight line. But it really has lovely steering, it's pretty neutral. And then it just goes on the straights. The torque of the motor is great, and then you get this wallop at the top end. But it's small in here, and it's physical too.
To know where to start with just how special this car is. The bodywork is still battered from the race, the interior beautifully tatty. It has more power than a Noble M600, and yet it weighs 400 kilograms less. The acceleration is relentless. Driving it is the best thing I've done in years.
And driving the car today, first of all, I'm speechless at how fast it is, how easy the car is to drive in real terms. One observation, the car has a spool differential, but it doesn't understeer it really at low speed. How do you do that? Because it should just push. Particularly with the turbo motor, it should just... But it doesn't.
Well, it's a long way to find a setup to get rid of these understeer. It still has some understeer. It depends on the tires you're using. But it's and we made several times a comparison with a differential, a lock differential, and it always turned out this is the fastest way.
Yeah.
Doing the with the spool on that car with these tires on that time. Today, I think a spool is you can do it with a differential because you have learned a lot now with the differentials with these different things, and now a differential is a must.
Yeah.
But in these days, just spool was the best.
On the long tail car, the 1987 car, obviously ground effect, long tail for Le Mans, but a big gurney on the back. A really big gurney. Why was this? For stability or because that's
it's stability and it helps the front axle.
Helps the front axle.
Exactly.
How did you work that out?
No, this is funny because when the ground effect is really working, when you do something on the rear end, it's very often you have a response from the front, a bigger response from the front. And then you know your ground effects is working because the underflow is you influence and the other way around. If you do something on the front, it has influence on the back. So this is an amazing thing.
But clearly your knowledge of the way air flowing over something makes that behave is extraordinary. Because you went ahead and this was all experimentation, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And do you think motorsport now is that you can't make the big gain now, can you? Everything's incremental.
Right.
Does that excite you less?
We were at the beginning.
Yeah.
There you could do big steps. Now the big steps are done. And you had to find all the parts and pieces together. And at the end, it's a similar big step.
Is there another museum that allows you to do 150 miles an hour for lap after lap in its multi-million-dollar exhibits? And is there a cooler man than Norbert Singer, the man who created this dominant machine, and yet who is now retired and teaches at a university because he wants to share his knowledge with the next generation? What a car, what a bloke.